Siomrabeag.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the tiny room. Welcome back to the digital Siomrabeag. I am the Michael of Michael and Benjamin's podcast, and I am joined this week under the sea by the man who put the man in Manatee. It's Benjamin Manatee Colopy.
I thought you were going to call me Benjamin Man-Titties Colopy. That was going to hurt
No,
my feelings.
no. Manatee, like the aquatic mammal.
Yes. Man
Like
of
the-
tea, quite often confused for any Irishman on a Sunday morning. With a
Funnily
cup
enough,
of tea.
Ben, funnily enough, you're not a big tea drinker, so we couldn't really call you man of tea.
No, it wouldn't really be an accurate thing. I'm also not a huge blubberous aquatic mammal.
Yeah. But
I'm also
often,
not one of
Ben,
those.
often spotted by sailors and mistaken for a mermaid.
Yes, I sing a very particular song, Michael, when I'm on the rocks. Would you like to hear it?
Yes.
Theme music for the podcast. We don't actually have any theme music.
Spectacular, Ben. Easily your best segue into the theme music ever.
Probably.
I have to say, Ben, I only saw where you were going there at the very end, and I nearly ruined it by laughing. Such was the deliciosity of that segue. Nom. Now, Ben, speaking of delicious segues,
Yes.
have you seen the Umbrella Academy season 2?
I have indeed, Michael. I spent the week this week. I sat down and I said, you know what? I love the first season. I'm going to commit to a TV show. I'm going to watch the damn thing. And that's exactly what I did, Michael. That's exactly what I
very
did.
good.
I got some bloody Umbrella Academy season 2 into my eyeballs. And Michael, I have to say, bloody fucking great.
Oh, is it?
Yes, I really enjoyed it, Michael. Perhaps
Yes.
even
Go on.
more than season 1.
Get
It is
out
perhaps
of town.
a better season.
Get right on out of there.
I know. Get right on out of there and down to Dallas, Texas, which is where our bloody season 2 is set, Michael. It's where our bloody season 2 is set.
You're on fire with those segues, Ben.
I know.
It's like you're like a speed skater on a buttery ice rink.
Just ready to go, Michael. Ready to go. Greased up skates.
It's incredible.
Zooming along.
We should have an earlier Sunday morning pod every week. It's at your best cognitive peak.
Apparently.
Benjamin.
Yeah, go on.
Benjamin, I have to say, I haven't seen it. Despite I've had the time to see it because I've watched loads of stupid shit with mermaids in it this week. But, thanks for that, by the way. But, what was I saying? Yeah, it's not appealing to me. It's not tickling my buttons, as they say. Or do they say that?
oh,
I don't
no,
believe they
Michael.
do.
Not tickling your buttons.
Yeah, I've watched. It's weird because I enjoyed season 1.
Okay.
I was looking forward to season 2.
Yes.
Then season 2 came out, and I've just no desire to sit down and watch it.
Oh,
It's
no.
bizarre.
That's
Yeah.
not great.
Well, on the contrary, Ben, on the opposite, I sat down last night to try and watch The Boys season 2 because I was under the misapprehension that it was out.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, very good trailers, Ben. Have you seen the trailers for The Boys
Trailers,
season
very
2?
enjoyable. Poor whale, but very enjoyable.
Poor Lucy the whale.
Poor Lucy the whale.
She gets impaled. Have you seen the clip where the deep summons the seven? It looks like it's going to be very good, Ben. I'm quite enjoying it.
I haven't seen it. It's going to be an enjoyable show, Michael. I think it's going to be very interesting. Michael,
Yes.
let's get
Yes.
back on the El topic of Rooney.
All
here.
right.
So cast your mind back to 1963, Michael, when you were but a wee lad.
Oh, JFK was still there and with a fully intact head.
Just about. Just about. Oh, that's a very... Is that the tone we want to go with here?
Yeah, well,
guess it is.
I mean, I don't think you can claim too soon, Ben. It's been a while.
Oh, it's too soon, Michael. I wasn't
Too
ready.
soon.
I
Is it too
wasn't
soon for
ready.
JFK jokes?
It's too soon. So, Michael, the gang, as you know, at the end of Umbrella Academy Season 1, and spoilers if you haven't bloody seen it.
Yeah, what are you doing?
What are you doing? Go watch it. The gang and Vanya
Yeah.
have caused an apocalypse because they're
Yeah,
just
not
having,
great.
they're a very dysfunctional family unit, Michael. They're not working through their shit properly. They're kind of all trying to be something their father wants them to be, and it's not working out very well, Michael. And then bloody big boom apocalypse. She pulls down the moon with her bloody sonic, telekinetic, ill-defined powers, and
Yes.
that's the end of it. But then number 5 goes, hold your boots.
I'm an old man who's a teenager.
Put on the brakes. I'm an old man who's a teenager, and play it very, very well. Such a
He's a good
convincing
actor,
old
isn't he?
man in a teenage
Yeah.
body. And
He's very good.
he decides, oh yeah, I can do time travel sometimes if I try really, really hard, so I'm going to do that. And he does that. But Michael, Time travel's
Yes,
bloody
Benjamin.
unpredictable and timey-wimey stuffy, and it's not good. So what happens is he deposits them at different points in the same town throughout the years. So one of the gang, an Allison, or the Rumour, gets deposited in 1961. And Michael, I don't know if you know this, but she's an African American. And Michael, I don't know if you know this, times weren't great in Dallas, Texas in 1961.
No.
For
Not
an African
racism, the old racism.
So that's no good. And then the rest of them kind of get deposited at various times throughout that thing. Poor old Diego gets deposited in 1962. He realizes that JFK is going to be assassinated, then spends much of his time in 1962 trying to alert people to that. So he gets locked up in a bloody insane asylum because
he's mental, yeah.
Exactly what would happen if you were going on about that. Poor old Luther decides to go through his masochistic self-punishment phase again, and he ends up becoming friends with Jack Ruby, the man who shot Lee Harvey Oswald, who is a gangster, and he becomes a cage fighter. So his kind of arc is very similar to Wolverine in X-Men 1.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Do people punch him and his metal head goes chong?
Not quite, but they do punch him in his big shaved gorilla body. Nobody in 1961 to 1963 bats an eyelid at the fact that he has a big shaved gorilla body. I don't know why.
Well, in the comic books, Ben, it's much more obvious that it's a gorilla body.
Yeah, it's very obvious in the comic books, Michael.
In this, it's just
obvious.
a big muscly man.
Yeah,
he looks a lot like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde from the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yes, he does. He's an aberration, Michael. An abomination. A big old beastie boy.
He shouldn't exist.
So that's kind of what happens, Michael. And it just works so much better this time because it's funny. They take a lot of what the characters did in season 1 and they keep it, Michael, which is very often a flaw that TV shows make where they don't allow the growth to stick properly. It does in this, Michael. So there's a lot of development. I think there's some twists and turns, Michael, that keep things fresh. And Michael, the action.
Yes.
The choreographing, Michael. Now, completely fake. Your friend and mine,
Benjamin.
Coach Clive, would sit there and go, no. But to a layman, to a maroon like myself, I was sitting there going, oh, what delights. Oh, such swift blows. Oh,
a lame man.
Yes, such spiraling, strange moves. Oh, the camera work is up above their head. Oh, what a punch. It was very good.
Benjamin, how does it compare to the comic book of season 2 of The Umbrella Academy?
That's a great question, Michael. I went out and spent my life savings on 2 comic books, which were very bloody hard to find.
Were they?
I was trying to find season 2 and season 3, Michael, and as you know, here at the podcast, we're trying to support local Irish businesses and to keep people going. So it took me a while to bloody find them, and I found them eventually anyway, but it cost me a fair chunk of cash also. But they're very good, Michael.
An arm and a leg. Let me see them, Benjamin.
An arm and a leg. I don't have them with me, Michael. I'm sorry. They're upstairs in my room.
Okay.
They're upstairs in my room. But one of the big changes, Michael, that I noticed is the TV show is very sanitized and a lot less bloody and gory than the bloody comic. So, Michael, as you know, in season 1, it departs massively from volume 1 of the Umbrella Academy, the Apocalypse Suite. The TV show very much has a non-superhero universe, whereas the comic takes gleeful delight in big costumes and bizarre characters and things like that.
Tentacly things coming to get them.
That's not at all what we're rocking with here. There's a very absurdist element running through the comic. It doesn't happen in the TV show. And no fault of its own, Michael. It'd be very hard to do in a TV show, I understand that. But Hazel and Cha-Cha are actually from volume 2 of the Umbrella Academy, and the entire arc where Klaus goes back in time to Vietnam and things like that is from volume 2 of that.
So a lot of volume 2 was in series 1.
Yes, it was shoved into series 1, but then they play around with the timey-wimey element, because also in volume 2 of the Umbrella Academy is the entire assassination of JFK plot, which drives this season of the Umbrella Academy. So there's a lot of picking and choosing and borrowing and things like that. But my God, Michael, Hazel and Cha-Cha are so much more unsettling in the comic book. Oh,
well, in the TV show, they practically became good guys. At least likable villains.
Yeah, no, not at all in volume 2 of the Umbrella Academy. Do you hate those guys with a burning fiery rage? It's real unpleasant. I will say number 5 is clearly Jared Way's favorite character. He just likes writing that character. What I didn't realize, Michael, and what makes a little bit more sense in the comic book, is that he's experimented on by the Time Agency.
Oh,
to become
so that's
the
why
assassin.
he's an old man.
Yeah, so he's an old man, but he has his DNA spliced with every great killer in history.
Oh, that's very interesting.
And that's why he's such a little lethal fella in the
Like who, Ben?
in the like a famous mob hitman, like an Achilles, like different people. So basically, take your top of the line murder machine from back in the day, pluck out one of his hairs, get a little DNA sample, and lace that into number 5. It's real sad.
So Gerard Way is a proponent of nature over nurture. Then
Apparently.
they're all genetically killers. They weren't trained that way. That's very interesting.
Exactly. I think for the purpose of the comic book, it works very well. But there's a much more interesting split between number 5 and who he was and who he has become. It's kind of interesting. He fights against severe homicidal tendencies because of that. Now, we do get to see that a little bit more in season 2. There's a fantastic scene using his wonderful magic timey-wimey powers again. And Michael, just again, the camera work, choreography, absolutely brilliant. I will say, Michael, let's level some criticisms, because I know you don't like it when I'm too shiny, happy people about things.
I don't really, but go on.
Let's line up some criticismos. So
let's have some.
Ellen Page. Oh,
Yeah, you don't
God.
like her, Ben.
Still a damn squib. Just the worst of
What do you have against Ellen Page, Ben? Let's
she's
let's dig deeper into this psychologically rather than assuming.
It would seem that she learned her second name from a young age and aspired to have all the qualities and characteristics of that thing.
Of a page.
Of a page. She's
Okay,
just
so she-
very cardboardy. She's just... and she has the same facial expression again, and she occasionally throws a tantrum again, and she's just the least interesting of the characters.
But she's the most famous of the actors.
Though she's the most famous of the actors. Although I suppose not anymore. I think they've all kind of... she's still an A-lister in B-listers. But, you know... it's hard to say. She's very stiff again, Michael. She has a very interesting arc in this. She has amnesia, much like the comic book.
Oh, classic, like a comic book.
Much like the comic book. And she ends up on a little farm in 1963. And there's a little bit of mild spoilers here, just for anyone who's going to watch the show.
Right, go on.
There's a little bit of a lesbian subplot going on there, Michael. It's gonna
with
be
world's
interesting.
smallest lesbian, Ellen Page.
World's smallest lesbian, Ellen Page. So she's still the dampest of squibs. It drags a little bit in the middle, as TV series are wont to do.
They often do, don't they, Ben?
They often
Bloody
do, Michael.
Marvel's Daredevil. Get out of here, episode 6 to 10.
Yeah, no good. No bueno. Noted Irishman, Robert Sheehan, is still one of the best things about the entire show. He seems to embrace it even more in this one and kind of just has a gay old time. And he starts a cult, Michael.
Yes, very good. It makes sense.
Excellent. Excellent stuff all around. I didn't realise this, but Tom Hopper as Luther gets a lot of hate. People
Does
don't
he?
like him because he's a big kind of can't make his mind up moany winebag. I think this might redeem him a little bit, Michael. He's pretty good in it. And then there's a huge civil rights subplot, as you might expect, Michael, from anything set with a black character in the 1960s.
Yeah,
where,
I mean, what would be the point otherwise, Ben?
Yes, what would be the point otherwise, Michael? So again, very timely, very in line with America's current struggles. And very interesting. None of that, Michael, of the major plot device of season 2 of The Umbrella Academy is in the comic. There's nothing to do with the civil rights movement because Rumor in the comics is white. She's not an African American. So there's been quite a bit here. So showrunner Steve Blackman has cherry-picked all his favourite parts about the comic book and really gone to town. It's pretty good.
Good. Excellent. I probably will watch it, Ben.
You should. I think you'll really enjoy it, Michael. Don't get me wrong. There'll be parts where you'll be sitting there going, oh no. Oh, rolling your eyes.
Yeah, everyone knows I hate civil rights, Ben, so...
Yeah, you hate civil rights. No, I think the character that you will probably find most irritating is Lila, who is the kind of mystery character that's added into this season. There are a number of reasons for that, Michael. I won't get into any of them because anything I give you will spoil it for other people. So go and have a listen to it, ladies and gentlemen. And then in the comments section or in Instagram, tell me why you think I didn't like the character of Lila. You can take a guess from me.
It's probably because he's a misogynist. That's my early guess. I'm going to go with Ben as a misogynist as my first guess, but then I'll review it, Ben. I'll review it. I'll review that guess having seen the show.
You know when you spoil the actual answer, there's no point in the readers or listeners writing in. Like,
Oh,
we
I got
all
it
know
in
it's
one.
because I'm a horrible misogynist. But
Ben, I knew you were a misogynist. Even when
Yes.
you denied it, I knew you were a misogynist.
yeah, you just spoil it.
Benjamin,
Yeah.
speaking of everything that's happening in that America and all that's going on with social things and with civil rights and lockdown and everything, this week we're looking at mermaids for some reason.
Well, we want to take a break, Michael.
Oh, I got a message.
and talk about something that we're definitely qualified to talk about, both of us being mermen.
Mermen. It's from Ben. This message says, Mick, all banter aside, please stop calling me a misogynist on the pod. People are going to think it's real. Oh, poor Ben.
No, I am a committed misogynist. I have a dartboard in my room with all the women's faces on it. All of them.
It just has the word woman on it. And you just throw darts at the word woman. With Ellen Page, a little tiny passport sized photo of Ellen Page as the bullseye. Benjamin! We're talking about mermaids.
Yeah, sorry, we're talking about mermaids in another dimension.
Oh, hold on, I have to put this on silent. Oh, sorry. It's my first time doing a podcast, so I wasn't really aware that my phone should be on silent.
Yeah, there are some conventions and rules that make things a little bit easier. But sure, look, Michael, you couldn't know it's your first podcast.
It's my first podcast. And look, Ben, it paid off with that humorous bit about pretending it was you who texted me.
That was very good, Michael. That was very good.
Yeah.
It's humorous because I am a misogynist and I would never ask you to stop calling me that. I'm
I know,
very proud of my misogyny.
It's kind of a double down on the trope. Benjamin.
Yeah, go on.
This week, we had a suggestion from one of our regular listeners on Arch Enemies, Pup and Riker, also known as Podcast Wanker, also known as Shane. Yeah. And he suggested that, what is the point of having a podcast whereupon one of the podcast hosts has a room full of Transformers and is quite into Transformers, and yet we haven't reviewed the new Netflix Transformers series.
Is that what that text was about?
Yeah, and it's true. There is a new Netflix Transformers series, and it's getting quite good reviews. And I, Benjamin, said, the reason I haven't watched it, Ben, is the assumption that it's terrible. So,
fair.
Yeah, and, Shane points out that we watched Marvel's Inhumans, we watched all of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., we watched, what was that one about the boy who's a criminal mastermind, but really he's Artemis Fowl? We've watched all of that, Ben, so we're not really allowed to avoid things on the context that they're, on the subtext, on the
premise,
on the basis that they're rubbish. So the plan was, for at least if I was going to watch it, Ben, Shane was going to watch it with me, so we both had to suffer together. But as you know, he lives in the Plague Lands.
He does.
So we're going to have to postpone that.
Oh, that's a shame. We did have a Plague Land review coming, but sadly. Oh, Plague Land Reviews is not a bad name for a review company, I'm just saying.
Yeah, we'll do it in a week or two.
Yeah, we'll get there eventually. Don't worry.
Yeah,
anyone who only listens to this for Transformer-related news, first of all, sorry for the severe length of time between Transformer newses.
Yeah, that's true.
But also, don't worry, it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
So
Transformers fans can wait, Ben, anyway. They know they just have to wait till all are one.
Michael.
Little Transformers reference there for the Transformers fans.
Michael.
Yes?
The reason that I pitched you this idea, and I pitched it to you a while ago, is because I've been reading a comic book. Michael. The John Constantine Hellblazer title has relaunched under the Dreaming, which is DC's kind of not a soft reboot of the Sandman universe.
Yes,
and
you're a big fan of it.
And the Vertigo universe. Very, very good, Michael. Issues 6 to 8 feature a mermaid storyline, Michael.
Oh, you love a mermaid.
I love a mermaid. And it's very good, Michael, for a number of reasons. Number one, because it's kind of a return to the Hellblazer form of old, where magic is this big, grimy, evil thing that can't be controlled. And, oh boy, does it have some chaotic consequences out in the real world when you let it loose. Oh,
right, good.
Messy. There's a horrific mermaid storyline involving a woman who falls in love with a sailor, but it's a modern sailor who's a bit of an anti-immigrant kind of guy.
He's not the best. All right.
He doesn't like a foreigner in his good British soil. There's a whole bunch of things. There's a weird fishing trade dispute, which is actually real. It's a weird dispute between France and Britain as to who can fish where.
Right. Sounds fascinating.
It's very interesting, Michael. But anyway, he weaponizes a mermaid, and it's a whole thing. It's really interesting. But it does pay homage to an awful lot of mermaid mythology. And it got me thinking, Michael, do you know what we haven't done a deep dive on?
Deep dive?
Yeah, see what
Very
I did?
good.
See what I did?
Very good. Under the sea.
Yeah. So we decided to do an old deep dive onto mermaids, and that's what we're gonna do.
Oh, brilliant!
Yeah, that's what we're gonna do today. I'm all out of puns now, Michael, so I'm probably gonna sit the rest of this one out.
All right, Ben. Don't dry out all your puns.
Nice.
Benjamin.
Yeah.
Why don't you get us started there by telling us what even is a mermaid?
Well, that entirely depends, Michael.
Okay,
but
go on then.
if you were looking for a big, broad generalization and you were looking for the key characteristics, it's a bloody human top half and a big, bloody fishy bottom half.
Yeah, human top, fishy bottom.
A human top, fishy bottom. And generally speaking, Michael, they're found in the sea.
Well, that makes sense.
Generally, yes. So, it really depends on which culture you look at. It really depends on what way you want to look at it. So let's do a little quick lore horror deep dive on where all these different things come from, Michael.
Oh, lore whore! I don't know if I like that.
That's terrible,
have you just
isn't it?
invented that, or have you stolen it from another podcast?
No, that was suggested to me by a good friend of the podcast, Stephen Cadwell.
Oh, good. Lore whore. Oh,
it's terrible, isn't it? Because I love the lore, Michael. I love the lore.
I get it. I do get it. It is gross, though.
It
All
is,
right,
it's
go on.
awful, isn't it?
Go on then, Benjamin Lore whore Colopy.
Let's not make that. Now that I hear it out loud, I like it even more. So,
good.
Depending on where you look, you get different versions and different things. The one that a lot of people are probably familiar with is from a Danish fairy tale.
Ah, yes.
By Hans Christian Andersen. In 1837, he came up with the Little Mermaid. That's what it's called, Michael.
It was probably called The Little Mermaid.
Yeah, The Little Mermaid, because he's Danish.
Yeah.
And
pretty
in that, Michael, there's a pretty tragic tale of a young sea maiden, a mermaid, who falls in love with a strapping human man.
Yeah.
And oh boy, does she go out of her way to make him fall in love with her. And
you, Benjamin, why don't you tell me the tale of Hans Christian Andersen's The Little Mermaid? Bearing in mind, Benjamin, I have not seen the Disney film The Little Mermaid.
Right.
Okay.
So,
Right,
Michael,
yeah.
throw your mind back. Denmark, 1837.
Okay, I'm there now.
There's a strapping young prince man.
Okay.
Unnamed, because it's a fairy tale, and we don't name our princes in fairy
Mick.
tales. Yeah, let's say Mikkel. From Denmark. And Mikkel from Denmark is strutting down the beach. You know, the Danish beach.
It's more Sweden, I think.
Okay, but anyway. Well, let's not confuse those two, because that might start an international incident.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's strutting down the beach. He's got the Bee Gees. We can tell by the way I walk that walk. I'm a human man. No time to talk. Anyway,
good. As opposed to a mermaid. Yeah, it's very good.
He gets on a ship. There's an old shipwreck. There's a mermaid. And she's like, oh, he's fit. Oh, yeah.
Isn't he? Look at him with his sexy
look
legs.
Look at him. Look at that. Sexy man. So she's like, oh, man, if I had a set of legs, I'd wrap it around him. I tell you that much.
Oh, Jesus Christ. And she's 13, right, Ben, in this story?
Yeah, it's pretty bad. So anyway, she decides, I'm going to go make a deal with a sea witch. And first of all, red flag, sea witch.
Yeah.
Not a great name for somebody. You should probably be fairly suspicious. If anyone introduces them to you and says, hello, I'm the sea witch, you should be like,
yes. Back off slowly.
So anyway, she goes to her. And you'd think, Michael, that there was she had a big bloody evil agenda. But no, she's like, oh, you want to grow legs? And the Little Mermaid's like, yeah, I'd love that. And she'd be like, right, well, I'm going to need a payment. And she's like, all right, okay, yeah, cool. What do you need? And she's like, well, I'll take your voice. And she's like, oh yeah, grand, I don't use that much anyway. So there you go. And she gives away the voice, and she sprouts a lovely set of legs. And off she does pop up to the thing, and she goes up to Danish prince guy, and she's like, hey, I've got legs now. Except she doesn't say that, so she just finger points.
She can't talk. She just kind of points at him and then points at her legs.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, like, she's mental.
Oh, what the bloody hell is this? Oh, God. Will the life of a handsome prince never be peaceful? So, anyway, unfortunately, she falls in love, and he's kind of like, yeah, I fell in love too. So it's a whole thing, Michael, and it all gets a bit tragic from there because it's not the best relationship, Michael.
A bit abusive, is it?
It's not entirely abusive. Yeah, well, it kind of is.
Is he a bit of a misogynist?
He's a bit of a Benjamin Colopy. And
how does he feel about Ellen Page?
He's no great fan of Ellen Page, is he?
Right, good.
So anyway, this all kind of builds to a head over and over, and the heel of the reed of the jig is eventually...
Yes.
She has to murder the prince.
Oh, good.
So it's pretty weird. It all gets pretty bad. Okay, so the reason that this happens is there's a wedding ship. They get married on a ship. It's a whole thing. But then Michael, he kind of finds somebody else.
Yes.
Because he's a big Danish prince and women are throwing themselves at him left and right.
Yeah.
And he's
I'll
have a little bit of you and you and you. So he decides to, do all that. It's not great, right? So she's a bit heartbroken. She's like, oh man, what could I do to get my revenge? And the Sea Witch is like, oh, that sucks. I'm sorry, that's a bad deal. I should have given you legs and a voice so you could speak for yourself and not have a dickhead cheat on you. And she's like, that would have been great. And then the Sea Witch, again, not a great name. She's like, I'll do you one better. Here's a bloody knife.
Yeah.
And she gives her a special sea dagger.
Yeah.
And she's like, do you know what? You can just kill him in your marriage bed because he hasn't split up with her yet. He's just cheating on her on the side. And she's like, just get a bit of Greek revenge and give him an all stabberoonie in the bed.
Just stab him in the bed.
But then, Michael, and this is probably this is a very non-empowering moral to a tale here. But basically, she's there in bed. She's like, "Oh, I'm gonna stab him. I'm gonna get him." And she's like, "No, but I still kind of love him. I don't really feel like I stab him." So she doesn't do that, Michael. She bottles it. And what happens is
she bottles him instead of stabbing him.
Yes, exactly. So what she does is she chucks it away, and then she kind of dissolves. There's not a clear end to this. She kind of disappears and dies. It's not suicide, but it's not suicide.
She just wilts, Ben.
She wilts. And the gods take pity on her, and they're like, "No, that sucks for you. That's pretty poor." And they transform her into the spirit of the air.
The air?
Yeah.
Not the sea?
No.
That's weird.
Ariel, Michael. Ariel.
Is that how the Little Mermaid, the movie ends?
No, that gets some Disneyfication, baby.
How does that end?
So, well, Michael, first of all, let's tell the listeners why this is so bloody interesting for me.
All right, go on.
You've never bloody seen The Little Mermaid. 1989's magnum opus of animation, The Little Mermaid.
I've heard of it.
You've never seen the little crab dance to Jamaican rhythms?
Sebastian, I've heard of him.
You've never seen a cute, lovable yellow flounder thing?
That's Dory you're thinking of from Finding Dory.
You've never seen a fiery redhead take on a shark for a fella?
I have. I've seen Sharknado.
Oh, yeah, that's actually fair. Anyway, in that, Michael, obviously we receive quite a bit of Disneyfication.
Yes.
And it all gets a bit happy. So
hold on a second. I'm concerned about this. How old is Ariel in the movie?
She's supposed to be, I think is it 17?
Okay.
Oh, it's all a bit dodge, Michael.
That's not terrible, I suppose. And how old is the prince, though? He's not like 35, is he?
I don't know. Let's find out. I'm gonna type in Little Mermaid age. This is gonna get me on some weird watch list.
No, you're already there.
You're there. Does it have her age? This is one of those probably Disney things where it's never said.
Yeah, it's probably never stated, Ben, just for this very reason.
Yeah, because it'd be all bloody messy.
It'd be a bit gross.
It'd be a bit weird. Come on.
It would be a bit...
Oh, no. Oh, no. She's 16.
Yeah, but how old is the prince? If the prince is close enough in age, it's not too gross. If he's 16, it's not horrific.
No, let's bloody find out.
We're really becoming distracted by this issue here.
It's an important issue, Michael. We here at the podcast do not support weird bloody grooming.
Do not support weird grooming and relationships with sea life.
Well, I mean, you shouldn't be having relationships with sea life anyway.
No, it's no. I mean, they're not humans. Benjamin.
Prince Eric's age is not stated, Michael. So anyway,
okay,
he has a name. First things first. Right?
Yeah.
Gets a bloody name. He's Eric.
Right.
From Denmark. Yes. Except he speaks with an American accent, and it's a bizarrely kind of European-esque sea town.
As everybody does, yeah.
As everybody does in a Disney movie. And very much the same idea. There's a shipwreck. Ariel, first of all, Ariel has some wants and desires outside of getting the ride, which is a very important step towards making her a more fully rounded character.
Yes, you could argue that.
Ariel dreams of living above the sea. Life up there. I can't remember the exact tune, the ditty that goes with it. Anyway, she dreams of living up there with the humans because she finds it an interesting place. She has her cave of trinkets where all the things that humans drop off their boats and things like that, she kind of collects them in a little cave.
Like the plastic thing off beer cans.
Yeah, exactly. So she chokes on those because they're very hazardous for sea life.
Sea life, yeah.
And then she's oh, what an interesting thing. And she pulls it off and it's a whole thing. So anyway, exact same thing happens, but this time, Michael, we have a much more interesting kind of character development for her. She's the daughter of King Triton.
Okay.
Who is the Roman equivalent of Neptune.
He's a merman.
No, sorry. He's a knockoff version of Neptune, who is the Roman version of Poseidon from Greek mythology. So he's the god of the sea, is a big old trident. And he wants her to be married off. He's the favorite of his daughters. He wants her to be married off. And she's like, oh, I'd rather choose my own suitor. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So it's a classic kind of early Disney animated film moral. It's like, I want to make my own decisions.
I think you're thinking of Brave.
Yes,
Isn't
I am.
that the one where the fiery redhead doesn't want to marry who her dad wants?
Or 1992's Aladdin. Where the fiery
Aladdin
brunette decides she wants to marry who she wants to marry, not who her father wants her to marry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
although her father's quite sympathetic in that one, at least.
Yeah, well, as bumbling sultans go, yes.
Yeah, he's very small.
He's very small. He's tiny. He's a little tiny man.
I'd have questions about why his daughter is so tall if he's so small.
I know, it's a bloody mystery.
I'd have questions about that. But anyway, go on.
Jesus Christ. Anyway.
Yeah.
Same heel and reel a jig. Shipwreck, Prince Eric might die. Ariel gives him a bloody save, and he's like, oh. She's like, oh, he's a bit of all right.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, hello.
Look at that Danish beefcake. Mm-hmm. So she goes and finds a sea witch. And again, Michael, sea witch. Mm. Now, there's a big difference between the sea witch and Hans Christian Andersen's fairy tale, who is a very neutral character and doesn't actually have much of an agenda. She doesn't really care. Care.
She'll just do a thing. She'll do a thing for you if you ask.
She'll do a thing. It's a barter. It's a deal. You're a sea witch. You give me something. I give you something. Bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah,
Ursula, on
for
the
me,
other
something
hand,
for you. Yeah,
is the name of the kind of evil witch in The Little Mermaid. And ooh, Michael, no ifs, buts, or muts about it. She's evil. You know how she's evil? Because Triton banished her from the kingdom for being a bloody evil witch.
Oh.
So Ariel decides that she wants to go up there on land so she can marry her Prince Charming. And she does the exact same deal, Michael. She's like, hey, give me some legs. I'll give you my voice. And really, there's a lot of red flags here, Michael. She goes to a weird sea garden where Ursula keeps all the souls of the mer people she's made deals with before. It's very dark, Michael. Very dark. And that is actually a reference to a very old Irish tale called the Soul Cages. And we'll get into that a little bit later. We'll get into that a little bit later.
Oh, will we?
Well, no, we can do it now, actually. The Soul Cages is a famous tale between a fisherman and a merman. They strike up a friendship off the coast of Clare. And the merman has been trapping the souls of sailors who died at sea on the Irish coast in cages. He keeps them down there for company. And the fisherman is like, oh, that is grim as fuck, trapped for all eternity at the bottom of the ocean. I can't be having that. So he decides to make a deal and he goes for tea with the merman and he gets him drunk. They have a drinking competition at the bottom of the sea. And when the merman passes out, he lets all the souls out of the cages.
Oh.
So there's a little strange reference to that there as we go along. Great story. Very interesting. Muy bueno.
What's that called?
It's called the Soul Cages, Michael. Soul Cages.
Interesting.
And it's a very interesting little tale. So anyway, moving on from there, we know it's a big red flag. She's a big old villain. She's got the villainous eyebrows. She, Michael, is a very interesting variation on a mermaid. She has an octopus lower half.
Yeah, that's good, isn't it? It's just it's just sea life.
It's just sea life. So you can be any kind of
She's still a mermaid,
half.
Though, isn't she? Yeah, you could have crabs below the belt if you wanted.
I mean, well, some of us already do.
We're
bloody fucking can't swim though. So anyway, moving on from there, Michael. She goes up. Now, Michael, she can't talk, but Prince Eric is like, "Oh, you're a bloody
you're a very attractive young lady, aren't you?" He says,
and it's a bit weird because now we know she's 16. So that's
well, maybe he's 16 too.
Anyway. Doesn't look 16. Doesn't really sound 16. Bloody complicated morals. Anyway, so he goes, "Do you know what? I'm gonna rescue you anyway." And he kind of looks after her in the palace. It's a whole thing, yada yada. But what we don't know, Michael, is that Ariel's voice is very special, Michael. It's a magical voice.
Magic.
It's a beautiful voice, which is a very common trope in mermaid lore. Their voices are spectacularly bewitching things. And what Ursula wants to do, Michael, is she's going to use Ariel's voice, in essence, to kind of trick Triton into marrying her, and then she can take over the kingdom again. Oh, it's all bloody evil.
Oh, how sneaky.
Yeah, and Ariel gets wind of this, and she's like, well, give me back my bloody voice. And she's trying to explain to everybody, he's like, I want my bloody voice back. But then, Michael...
I haven't got a bloody voice, but I've got legs.
It changes instead. It gets a bit weird again, Michael, because in order to punish Ariel, she decides to kind of seduce Eric. So it kind of falls back in line with...
Ursula does.
Yeah, it's real weird. It falls back in line...
She's turned into a sexy lady.
Yeah, a sexy lady with a lovely voice. So it becomes far more like the tale in Hans Christian Andersen again.
Okay.
Anyway, Michael, all you need to know, the thing that you're really missing out on, is the bloody climax, Michael, where Ursula turns into a big giant sea monster thing, and there's a big battle. It's great. It's so good. It's awesome.
I've never seen it, Ben.
Oh, it's real good, Michael. You should check it out. All of our listeners should be watching The Little Mermaid. It's a very enjoyable tale. It has possibly one of the best musical numbers from Disney ever. Under the sea, dun-dun-dun-dun. Under the sea, dun-dun-dun-dun. It's great.
Very good. Benjamin.
Go on.
I watched some mermaid stuff because you made me.
Yeah, I did, yeah. Because we were doing an episode on mermaids this week.
Yeah, you told me, and I said, all right, I'll watch some mermaid stuff, Benjamin. And the first thing that I watched, Benjamin, was 1984, Ben. I was but 2 years old in 1984, Ben, and you were not even a glimmer in your parents' eyes.
Not even.
Not even. Benjamin, I watched 1984's The Film with Tom Hanks and Daryl Hannah, directed by your favourite, Ben, your favourite fiery redhead, Ron Howard.
Yeah, I love him. Love him.
I watched 1984's Splash.
Splash.
Oh, she's a bloody mermaid with legs.
Savior of the undersea. Ding, ding,
Benjamin,
ding,
have you
ding.
seen the film Splash?
I've seen bits of it.
I have never seen it before yesterday, Benjamin.
Oh, God.
Let me tell you. First of all, it's set in the 80s in New York, so everyone's always shouting at each other. The whole movie is just guys shouting at each other. Nobody talks in a normal pitch throughout the whole goddamn movie. You'll notice I've moved back from the mic a little bit, so hopefully this isn't ear-splitting. But I hope if you're going to watch this movie, you're going to be ready for 90 minutes of people doing this the whole time. Where is she? Where's Madison? Last time I saw her, she was heading to Bloomingdale's. It's non-stop, Benjamin. It just doesn't end. Nobody ever stops shouting. It's quite incredible. So there's that. There'll be no more listeners now. That's
no,
good.
they're all gone.
So, yeah, it's about Ben. Tom Hanks, or as the French call him, Tom Hanks, is a young man, and he's on a ship, Ben, and he jumps off the ship.
What?
And when he jumps off the ship, as a young man, Ben, as a young boy, he meets an appropriately aged mermaid girl in the water. And Benjamin, he only kind of half remembers that for the rest of his life, and he grows up to be a shouty New York fruit and veg salesman who, for some reason, can't find... I'm telling you guys, these cherries, you're going to send me these cherries? They're like slimy snails. How will you take some bananas at cost? So it's just people shouting at each other. Everyone's shouting at each other. It's constant people shouting at each other. So Ben, can't find love. Until Benjamin, one day, he gets drunk and bumps his head, and he goes back to his childhood holiday spot of Cape Cod, and he falls into the water. And who rescues him, Ben? But the very same bloody mermaid.
She's been stalking him the whole time.
Well, that's a weird thing. She hasn't actually, but it's a coincidence. But she rescues him. They have a little kiss, and she finds his wallet. Benjamin, there's lots of, despite this predating The Little Mermaid, it doesn't predate the story The Little Mermaid.
No,
so
it
there are
rarely
some
does.
things. There are some things in it that are quite similar. For example, when she first comes to land,
yes,
she doesn't have any clothes on.
Oh.
Yeah, and later on Disney, I watched the unedited version, Benjamin,
oh yeah,
where her hair does mostly cover her bum anyway.
Yes, and there was
But it
no
wasn't
need to draw
No
massive
need.
attention to it.
And the hilarious thing about it, Ben, in the very next scene, there is a much clearer close-up shot of her bum. And I don't know if Disney edited that one on Disney Plus either. I watched it on YouTube, Ben.
Much smarter.
So she can't talk, Ben, and she doesn't understand the human world.
It's classic.
But somehow she tracks him down to New York, and they very gradually fall in love, and he doesn't realize she's a mermaid.
Michael, would you say it's a fish out of water tale?
It's a real fish. Oh, Ben, I have in my notes, don't forget to run the fish out of water joke into the ground. So Benjamin, in New York, she's a real fish out of water. But it doesn't seem to matter, because the mermaid lore in this, Ben, is there are a couple of mermaid facts in this.
Okay.
Mermaid fact 1
Yes.
is when mermaids get dry,
Ooh.
they have legs.
Okay.
And when mermaids get wet, they have fish.
They have fish. Little
They have
fish.
fish legs. Yeah.
Okay, so fairly interesting there, Michael. Because
Yeah.
while you were watching Splash, I was watching bloody Nickelodeon's H2O Australian 3 Girls in a Tub adaptation. And it's the exact same rules, so that's interesting.
Oh, so when they're dry, they don't have legs, and when they're wet, they have legs.
It doesn't make any sense,
No,
Michael.
the opposite.
What happens if you sweat?
Well, that's internal water, isn't it? So I suppose you wouldn't get it. But in this one, she's very eager to avoid the rain because Tom Hanks doesn't know she's a mermaid.
Oh, he just thinks she's a beautiful mute.
He thinks she's there's no way this wasn't written by a man. A beautiful mute nymphomaniac rescues him from the sea and tracks him down across the country and loves him without reason or flaw. It's a stunning, tall, nude, blonde woman comes out of the sea, tracks him down. It doesn't seem to bother him that she's a real fish out of water. It doesn't matter. He doesn't know who she is. He doesn't know if she has any brain damage or anything. And he has loads of sex with her loads of times. And this is all presented to us as perfectly fine and reasonable thing to do. While at the same time, everybody's shouting
About cherries.
So Ben, one of cinema's best shouters is in it as well. Eugene Levy.
Oh, yeah, he's a great shouter.
He's one of cinema's best shouters. He plays a scientist who's trying to prove mermaids are real.
Classic.
And he's able to track her down, Ben, inexplicably, without the internet or any idea who she is or where she's gone in the 80s in New York.
What did people do without the internet, Michael? Like how?
I don't know. I don't know how they managed. And he wets her. He sprays her with a hose.
Okay.
Just when she's about to tell Tom Hanks that she's a mermaid, he sprays her with a hose. She learns English. She's learned how to speak English from TV.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so it's all fine and not creepy anymore.
Oh, good.
And she has 7 days, Ben. She can spend 7 days on Earth, and then she has to go back to the sea forever.
Oh, that's a very specific rule.
Isn't it, Ben? And it's around the full moon for some reason. I don't know if it's 7 days every
look, it's
month.
a classic.
I don't know exactly what's going on. But he sprays her, Ben, and it's a moment in a romantic comedy, Ben, which was nominated, by the way, for Best Original Screenplay by a man about a sex object. Mm-hmm. He sprays her with the hose just before he tells him. And it's one of the most horrific body horror moments I've ever seen in cinema.
Really?
Where she's lying there, shocked, terrified, and crying as a crowd gather around her and her big flappy fish fin comes back.
That sounds awful, Michael.
It's terrible. It's horrible. But Ben, it's nothing compared to the ending.
Okay.
Because Benjamin, in the lore of mermaids in this, and I think this is consistent, Ben, in mermaid lore in this one, the kiss of a mermaid can save you from drowning.
Great.
So she gets captured by the government, and Tom Hanks and John Candy and Eugene Levy, who has a change of heart, they rescue her, Ben. Yes. And they're chased down to the port. And at the port, they have a decision to make, because she has to go back to the sea, Ben.
You go on.
And if she goes back to the sea, she can never return.
Oh.
But remember, Ben, the kiss of a mermaid can save people from drowning. So she tells Tom Hanks that he can go with her. And he's like, that's fine, I'll go with you. Well, hold on. He goes, oh my God, yeah, that's fine, I'll go with you, and I'll just come back to see my brother Freddie at Christmas. And then she says, no, Tom Hanks, you can't do that. If you come with me now, you'll never be able to return.
You gotta choose, baby boy.
Yeah, so they go their separate ways, and then when she's in the water, he changes his mind and he jumps in after her, and she runs up and she gives him a kiss, and then they swim off together.
What?
And yeah, he's decided to live under the sea for the rest of his life, Ben. He's not a bloody merman.
What?
So they're swimming out to sea, and she's a mermaid, and she's got the flappy mermaid fin thing. Right. And he's in his fucking suit and his runners.
Doesn't make any sense, Michael.
It doesn't make any sense. And then they swim to Atlantis.
What?
They swim to Atlantis, which is about a mile off the coast of New York, apparently.
So does she have to shift him constantly to stop him from drowning?
I don't know, Ben. It's not addressed.
Just like...
I don't know.
Forever like shifting under the sea.
He can't swim, so I don't know. I don't think he can even travel around unless she's holding his hand. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, it's pretty good. It's a good film.
It's a good film. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I mean,
Would recommend.
it's pretty interesting. So far, Michael, that's very similar to the strange inverted tale of mermaids that is Shape of Water.
Go on.
Remember we watched that one where a lady has sex with a fish?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird.
Because he's a sexy fish.
We got a listener suggestion on the old Instagram from Cron, good friend of the podcast, Cron.
Cron!
He's back.
Welcome back, Cron.
Welcome back, Cron. And he suggested an honourable mention for Abe Sapien from Hellboy, which is a fair point, Michael.
He's one of the best fish people.
One of the best fish people. Guillermo del Toro certainly seems to think so, because he went and bloody stole the entire idea and put it in a movie.
Yeah.
Which was The Shape of Water, which won an Oscar, Michael. Again, another Oscar-winning mermaid thing.
Yeah.
But he's big, bloody, sexy, primal fish creature thingy majig.
Is he a merman, though?
Is he a merman, though, technically? I mean, that's the real question, Michael. It's hard to tell, Michael, because across the cultures, there's loads of different mermaids doing loads of different things. And the only one that really does a human on land kind of thing are our very own mermaids and our Celtic cousins over there in Scotland, the Selkies. They're the only mermaid myths that kind of do an on-the-land mermaid thing.
Right.
So we have Selkies, and in Irish and British mythology, they're called Merrow. And it's the same idea. And they have a special thing, Michael. They have a special thing, and it's called, I have it written down here. It's the Cuchulainn Druith. And the Cuchulainn Druith is it's basically a water cap, Michael, that you can pop on and off. And if you have the cap on your head, you can go swimming. And if you don't, no good.
Oh, that's convenient.
In a much more body horror-esque element of it, Michael, if you are a Selkie, you wear a sealskin. And if you shed the sealskin, you can hide it away and walk on land and do all kinds of things. Yes,
very interesting. It's
pretty interesting, Michael.
So there was a movie about a Selkie, wasn't there? Was it called The Selkie?
No, there was there are two possibilities. There's the very, 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 very popular Irish animated thing called The Selkie.
Yes, that's the one I was thinking of.
And then there's a bizarre, and I do mean bizarre film with Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that film, Michael? Colin Farrell and The Selkie?
No.
So, hang on, let me find the name of this film because I have it written down.
Is this real?
Yeah, no, there's a Colin Farrell film involving a Selkie. It's bizarre. I just typed in Colin Farrell film because I thought that idiot.
That won't help.
No.
Tigerland.
That one have it. Onadine. And in Onadine, he plays a member of the travelling community.
Oh, very good. He's known for his subtlety.
He's known for Jesus. So anyway, he meets this bizarre woman who comes out of the sea, and he thinks she's a Selkie. He can't understand her. She sings a bizarre tune, and it's weird. Now, Michael, I'm going to give you some spoilers here, right? It turns out she's a Romanian drug smuggler, and she's been taking advantage of poor Pruncius and his lack of wit when it comes to this kind of thing. And the song she's been singing is a Sigur Rós song. And he puts all this together when he hears the song that she's been singing on the radio, and he goes, hang on, that's not an ancient Celtic tune from beneath the sea. It's bloody Sigur Rós.
It's Sigur Rós from Iceland.
From Iceland. It's fucking bizarre.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so that movie exists. And that's one of the few live action adaptations of a Selkie.
That's very interesting, Ben.
Yeah, so it is very interesting. They come up all over the place, Michael, but one of the ones we haven't talked about, all of our mermaids have been relatively benign creatures. However, there is a bloody very dangerous, mysterious element to mermaids as well. And those are my favourites, Michael. I like the predatory mermaids.
Oh, yeah, you do.
They're great. Oh, I love a predatory mermaid, me. Love them. So the one that's most common and the one that everybody's probably familiar with, Michael, is the Sirens from Odysseus, which are a mermaid-esque creature.
Are they, though? This is where you start getting into the morphing of myths, because originally, aren't they bird women?
No, that's a harpies.
No, that's Sirens. Sirens started as bird women, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, maybe they did. Oh, hang on. Oh, God. You could be right.
Well,
Michael.
you
usually are.
Sirens and mermaids have kind of mixed together, aren't they?
Oh, you're right, Michael. They have little wings.
Because
you're right.
Yes,
you're right.
Sirens are bird women who stand on rocks and sing and attract sailors to the rocks, whereupon they're shipwrecked.
You're not wrong.
And die in the sea. But a lot of the mythology of sirens has transferred over to mermaids.
Yeah.
And like the concept of the siren and the mermaid are merging together, I think, in the current mindset, where the singing, the pulling sailors down to their death, a lot of that is associated with mermaids now as much as it is associated with sirens.
Well, Michael, that's very interesting because in Eastern European folklore, that's all mermaids bloody do. They're not great. Eastern European and Russian folklore has something called the rusalka. And the rusalka, it can be found in fresh water or in the sea.
Okay, go on.
And they are the transformed spirits of women who were done wrong by, who cruelly died at the hands of men. And what they do is, Michael, they sit there in the water like, how are you sexy? Come here to me. Here to me and have a chat with me.
Have you ever heard of Sigur Rós?
And then when you get too close, straight into the water with you. Get eaten. So those are the rusalkas, and it's pretty interesting. We saw a version of that, and it was brought to our attention by a good friend of the podcast, Sean.
Yes.
And he said the Mermaids in Pirates of the Caribbean 4 are a bit of crack, Michael, and I made you watch that for the podcast as well.
Oh, God. Oh, Sean. What are you doing to me? So, Benjamin, I am an enormous fan of the first Pirates of the Caribbean. Pirates of the Caribbean, What's Going On the Black Pearl.
Yeah.
Probably my favourite modern adventure film.
It's very good.
You know, when it came out, I was there. This is up there with Indiana Jones. This is a great character who'll go. And then, Ben, they drove it into the ground by focusing too much on mythology and world building and having the same characters keep popping up over and over again.
Classic.
It would have been great as an Indiana Jones-esque anthology series where he has a slightly different adventure each time, but not as it was the forced raising of the stakes and gross expanding of the cast of characters every time without ever getting rid of anyone. Yep. Anyway, Ben, so Pirates of the Caribbean 4 on Stranger Tides was kind of envisaged as a bit of a reset for the series.
Yes.
There's no Will Turner, there's no Mr. Katy Perry, Orlando Bloom.
Isn't there though?
Yeah, exactly. There is. There is. There's a guy whose name I can't even remember because I was just calling him Will Turner. But it's not played by Orlando Bloom, and he's a different character. There's no Keira Knightley. She's not in it either.
Isn't there, though? Isn't there just a Keira Knightley with a big tail?
Well, look, Ben. In this, it's a ridiculous film with far too many plots. And one of the plots that could have easily been removed was the whole mermaid thing.
Yep.
Because what they need is, they have the Fountain of Youth. They found Ponce de Leon, Ben. He found the Fountain of Youth. And there are 2 cups you need to drink from. And one of the cups needs a mermaid's tear for some silly-ass reason, which could have been entirely done away with.
Yep.
So, an hour into the film, Ben. An hour into the film.
It's too far in.
Too far in. I stopped caring. But an hour into the film, they need to capture a mermaid.
Oh.
And Ben, it's pretty good mermaid lore. They send a small ship full of sailors out, and they shine some light on them, and the sailors have to sing sea songs because, which is hard to say, sea songs attract mermaids.
Do they sing sea songs by the seashore?
No, they sing songs on a fucking boat, Ben. And then, Ben, as they're singing sea songs,
very good,
a
Michael.
sexy mermaid appears.
That was very good.
And she's like, hey boys, I'm a sexy mermaid. What do you think of that? And they're like, oh yeah, we're kind of into that. And she's like, oh, well, why don't you come over here and give me a little kissy? And one of them goes over to give her a little kissy. And she pulls him under the water. And when she pulls him under the water, Ben, she turns into a horrible fish monster face thing, like a vampire kind of thing. And then, and this is the weirdest thing, hundreds of them appear.
Because they're fishing a shoal.
Yeah, they're like a school of fish, and they all attack the pirates, Ben, and there's a big pirates versus mermaids battle.
Boom.
Involving explosions, slightly out of shape Johnny Depp.
Oh no.
Running around with low energy compared to how he did in the first movie.
Not an out of shape Johnny Depp.
Yeah, it's a bit tragic. But anyway, Ben, they end up capturing one mermaid.
Right.
And she seems to be the least evil one.
Oh, good. The least evil mermaid.
The least evil. And she can speak English. And
oh, that's handy.
She appears to be falling in love with the guy who's not Will Turner. He's a priestman.
Not Will Turner.
Missionary. Yeah.
Bill Burner.
And, you know, there's a bit of a disagreement between Ian McShane, who plays Blackbeard, and the missionary. And the whole thing is summed up with the best joke of the movie, where the missionary and Blackbeard are having an argument. And Johnny Depp says, I support the missionary's position.
Yeah.
the best joke of the whole film. Anyway, Ben, later on we find out they capture her because they need her tears, and they drop her out of her cage of water, and she ends up on the earth, and her fins dissolve.
Oh.
And it turns out that when she's dry, she has legs. She's just like bloody Daryl Hannah from the film Splash.
That's bloody handy for the budget, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just give her...
But, well, here's the funny thing. She can't walk because she doesn't know how. She's never done it before.
Well, that's
She's
fair.
a real fish out of water, Ben.
Hey!
It's a real kind of fish out of water tale, if you know what I'm saying.
Fish out of water. That's a pun.
So, anyway,
Wordplay.
Ben, the whole... The entire movie would be better without the whole mermaid subplot. It's complete and utter waste of time. But it's quite good, Ben, because the missionary, towards the end, is stabbed.
Oh.
And in his dying act, Ben, he goes to rescue her.
Oh, good.
And he unties her. And she says, "Oh no, you're dying. I can save you. Give me an old kissy-wissy." And he gives her a kissy-wissy. And she pulls him into the water. And they swim off together.
What?
Yeah.
So
Now,
is this not Will Turner?
No, it's not Will Turner. It's a missionary played by a guy who looks like Orlando Bloom. It's not Will Turner, though.
Okay.
If you remember, Ben, in the Legends of Mermaids, they can give you a kiss and you can live underwater like Daryl Hannah does to Tom Hanks.
A kissy-wissy, yeah.
But also, Ben, mermaids will seduce you and then pull you into the sea and drown you.
So is that what she does to him?
Don't know.
Oh, mystery galore.
It's exactly. We never find out.
Maybe he just
And
died
that
and she
is-
ate him.
Maybe he just died and she ate him. The whole, like, oh, I'm a good mermaid and you seem like a good person, so I like you. In the end, Ben, she seduced him and she dragged him under the sea.
I mean...
For his good. Oh, it's the only good thing about the whole film.
And that's what you enjoyed. Mermaids, making things better sometimes.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we got quite a bit of help there. So thank you to anybody that contributed to
Ben.
us. Yeah, go on.
Watch Splash, though, if for no other reason than Daryl Hannah's spectacular underwater acting.
It's very good.
She is the best underwater actress I have ever seen. I mean, that movie basically launched her career, and they would have cast her, I suppose, on the basis of her underwater acting. But she never once looks uncomfortable, and there's no CGI to back her up.
Oh,
Like, it's very impressive underwater acting.
that's high praise.
From me, the king of underwater acting.
Yes, you, who is notably an Oscar-worthy underwater actor.
Yes, and I also can't swim like Tom Hanks.
Yep, so I mean, it's a fusion. He
Exactly.
is the spiritual child of Splash, the movie.
Exactly.
Is this how you reveal to us that you are, in fact, from Atlantis?
I'm a merman.
You're a merman, Dad. Merman. I had to get that
Very good.
in there, just the once. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you to everybody who contributed to
Listeners,
this week's episode on Seomra Beag, the Instagram. You can find us there. If you
Hold
don't...
on, Ben. Were there any we didn't mention?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Let's get through one
Let's
or
have
two
a quick
more.
look.
Joanna got in touch with us to tell us about H2O. So thanks for that, Joanna. I had to watch it on your recommendation. Appreciate that. OG Glop on the podcast here. Relentlessly Rachel told us that. Mermaid starring Winona Ryder and Cher. But it's not really about mermaids. It's about kind of weird things.
Benjamin, I wrote a joke where I watched the film Mermaids and it wasn't about mermaids, and then I got all annoyed, but I forgot to do it.
Oh, that would have been a great joke, Michael. That would have been a great
Yeah.
joke.
Yeah.
She also said that
Ben,
What?
Ben,
What?
when I was watching it and it was about women and emotions, you know what? I felt like a real fish out of water.
Hey! She also said that she hopes we do a rendition of Mermaids by Flight of the Conchords. We might do that another time. It didn't really fit on the podcast for this one, and we didn't have time to rehearse. But we might do it in the
I've
future.
never heard it.
It's very good, Michael. Very good. Very Flights of the Conchordy. You're a Jermaine Clement
Oh, I
fan.
like them.
You'd be
I
fine.
like them. Yeah, I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, we really care about our listeners and we love it when they get in touch and give us suggestions. If you would like to get in touch with us and give us suggestions, you can find us in the following places. www.seomrabeag.com SEOMORABEAG.com.
Means tiny room in Irish.
It does indeed. If you like a more modern mobile approach, you can find us on Instagram at Seomra Beag. Same spelling. And
Same meaning.
Same meaning. Bloody hell, we're smooth as butter today. Ladies and gentlemen, is there anything we missed? Get in touch with us in those places. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, give us a review, please.
Give us a review.
We don't ask for much.
It's we're a real fish out of water.
For more quality content like that, give us a good review. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to us on YouTube, like, share, and subscribe, please.
Yeah.
And we'll do an ASMR podcast at some point. I hear that's popular on YouTube.
Yeah, I won't be involved in that. I would be like a real fish out of water in that area.
And then, if you think any of your pals enjoy shoehorned wordplay, you can share us directly onto your Instagram story or share it directly with us if you listen to us on Spotify. Give us a follow there as well. That's it from us this week, ladies and gentlemen. I'm off to teach Mick how to swim. Bye!
Yay, I can't swim. I'm a real fish out of water, but in water. I'm a real